Hello everyone, and welcome to our second Scugog Island Community Expansion Project Virtual Open House. My name is Liz DeSeplo, and I will be your moderator for this evening's session, and we're so pleased you're joining us. As we all know, the world looks a little different this year. Open houses are always our favorite way to meet with the community face to face, to get to know you, answer your questions, and tell you more about our project. With COVID-19, we've had to pivot our open house plans and have moved this to a virtual format. So thank you for joining us. Before we get started, I'd like to go over how the session will work. In the presentation, you'll hear from the project team on a few core areas, including an update on our construction progress, why you should make the switch to natural gas, cost comparisons, and steps involved to get connected. We have slides prepared to take you through these topics, and when that concludes, we'll jump right into a question and answer session. I'd like to thank everyone who submitted a question during the registration process. We've gone through them and done our best to update our presentation remarks tonight to ensure that they're answered. We saw many questions related to project timelines, which Amanda will speak to, a number related to the process to get connected and costs, which Travis and Don will speak to. If you have a specific question about your home's conversion or potential savings, you can always reach us at savewithgas@enbridge.com. To ask a question this evening, please type it into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and I will pose questions to members of our team. We'll do our best to get to everyone's questions. However, in the interest of time, we may group similar questions together. On the line with me tonight are key members of our project team, those who've designed it, those who are constructing it, and those who'll make sure you have everything you need to get connected to natural gas. They are Amanda Toms, our project manager, who's been with the company for more than 5 years, Jeff Manty, who oversees construction of the project and has been with the company for 15 years, Travis James, a community expansion and attachment advisor who's been with the company for more than 5 years, Don Armitage, a community expansion and attachment advisor who's been with the company for more than 28 years, and Sarah Kingdom Benson, our environment advisor, who's been with the company for more than 6 years. Up on the screen right now, you'll see our agenda. At Enbridge, we start each meeting with a safety moment, and that's where we'll start today. Then we'll provide a construction update, followed by an overview from our sales and attachment team, and then we'd like to speak to you about the value of natural gas. And from there, we'll go into the question and answer session. I'd like to prompt you to think about questions as you listen to the presentation and jot anything down that you'd like more information on during the Q&A session. Our project team is here for you, so please feel free to lean on them and get your questions answered. And with that, I'll hand it over to Amanda, our project manager.
Thanks, Liz. So today's safety moment is on the Ontario One Call program, Call Before You Dig. This topic is especially pertinent now that spring has arrived and many people will be gardening, landscaping, and undertaking home improvement work on their properties. Through this project, we have also introduced a new utility to the island, which makes this reminder especially important. Now, damage to Enbridge pipelines is one of the greatest risks to our organization. In addition to being a potential safety concern, it can mean a loss of service to customers while repairs are underway, and consequently potential financial impacts to businesses during this loss of service. Unnecessary damages also require the attention of emergency responders such as police and fire, which takes away from their ability to support other emergencies in the community. All that being said, the Call Before You Dig program helps to prevent these third-party damages and maintain a safe system. Locate requests can be completed online at ontarioonecall.ca or by calling the 1-800 number provided on the screen. Unless it is an emergency, locate requests can be made approximately 5 days in advance of the planned work, and Enbridge, along with other registered utilities, offer a free locating service under this program for any homeowner who may be digging near the underground infrastructure. So in summary, if you're planting a tree, building a fence, a deck, or a shed, digging a new garden, or even doing some home improvement work that requires you to dig, you must contact Ontario One Call and request locates before you start the work. As a reminder, this is the law in Ontario. that concludes the safety moment. So I'll jump into a bit of a construction update next. So at the end of 2019, we began construction on the Scugog Island project, tying into our existing infrastructure in Blackstock and progressing along Highway 7A, up Island Road, and several distribution side streets on the island. The Scugog Island project is comprised of approximately 48 kilometers of natural gas pipe, and as of the end of February, we have completed just over 60% of the scope. Over the course of 10 years, we expect to attach about 810 customers, 30 of which are commercial and 780 residential customers as well. As of today, we have attached just over 60 customers to our new natural gas system, which is a great success for our team. So I did want to get a little bit into some of the specifics around the streets that we've completed as part of our scope. So on the screen, I'd like to draw your attention to the map on the right. This mapping here indicates what streets we've completed so far as part of the project, which is indicated in red, and gas is flowing within those areas of the island. So we've included on here Highway 7A, Island Road, Demera, Stevenson, Pettit, Spring Boulevard, Aldred Drive, Edgewood Crescent, Davidge Drive, and part of Portview Road as well. So I would like to point out that Portview Road is still in progress. We are just wrapping that up in the next couple weeks, but gas is flowing on part of Portview Road. I'd also like to bring your attention to some of the other streets that we will be completing as part of this scope and to be constructed in the remainder of 2021. So these roads include Pine Point Lane, which we expect to construct partially up to Civic 60 at the end of March, followed by Ambleside Drive, which we expect to construct throughout April. Platten Boulevard, Percy Crescent, Peat Street, and Lakeside Beach Road, we plan to be constructing towards the end of April and into May. Chandler, we also plan to be constructing between May and June, followed by Pogue Road and Carnegie Beach Road in July and August. Then we'll be moving on towards Hood Drive and the southern portion of Fralix Beach Road, the southern portion being the section south of Hood Drive, around August and September. Then we'll be moving on to Goose, Johnson, and Edgar around September and possibly into October, followed by the northern part of Fralix Beach Road, October-November timeframe, and then completing our final road or stretch of the scope, Pine Point Lane, around November-December of this year. So I would like to point out that this construction schedule is subject to change as a result of permit availability and field obstacles, but hopefully this gives a bit of context as to when to expect construction in front of your street or in front of your home, and give you a little bit more context as to when you'll be expecting to attach to gas. This slide just shows a couple construction images from Scugog Island. I would like to point out in the middle of your screen there, you'll see an NPL logo. And I would like to just point out there's quite a bit of construction happening on the island, a lot of different construction teams and groups working actively in the community. NPL is in fact an Enbridge approved contractor. So when you see NPL signage, that is Enbridge constructing the natural gas expansion project. And with that, I'll pass it on to Don and Travis.
Thanks, Amanda. Good evening, everyone. My name is Don Armitage, and I'm from Sales. On behalf of Sales, I'd like to offer a sincere and heartfelt thank you. We truly appreciate this opportunity to explain some of the advantages of natural gas. And before I begin our presentation, I want to preface it with a little bit of a disclaimer. My intention is not to run down your existing energy company. My motives are to help you make an informed decision. And the best way I know how is to explain the differences. It is often these differences which harbor the advantages of natural gas. So although I'll strive to be as respectful as I possibly can, my loyalty is to you. our customer. At the end of the day, it is you, our customer, who pays our wages. So please keep this in mind as we progress. If experience has taught me anything, you're going to need to answer to two basic questions, two fundamental questions. What are the potential savings going to be by converting? And I'll hope to answer this question for you this evening. And secondly, how much is all this going to cost? And there's two parts to that question. What are the costs to get a new gas meter in my building? And Travis is going to answer that question. And then finally, what are the costs to convert or replace my existing equipment? And no one on the call tonight is going to be able to answer that with any degree of accuracy. But this is truly a question for your heating contractor. And I encourage you to lean on these individuals. Most of us go our whole lives without ever converting a house to natural gas. But these contractors, these HVAC contractors, especially these ones in this area, they do 3, 5, 7, 10 a month that they do this. So I encourage you to lean on their expertise. And they're also a really good source of independent information as well. So if you hear anything tonight or any claim you think might be kind of pie in the sky or maybe too good to be true, reach out to your HVAC contractor. So they're an independent. They don't work for us, they work for you. So you're the one paying them. So I strongly encourage you to reach out to your heating contractor and get that advice. So let's get started. Next slide. So I have the dubious responsibility of explaining the system expansion surcharge, and I say dubious because obviously this brings up all kinds of mixed emotions. But I firmly believe you can't possibly make an informed decision as to whether this is natural gas is good for you unless you have a working or good understanding of the system expansion surcharge. So I'm going to try in the best I can to try to explain what it actually is and possibly what it isn't as well. So. It takes significant investment to build infrastructure to bring natural gas to communities such as these. So these are where the customers are fewer and farther between, where it becomes a little bit more of a feasibility challenge. And the system expansion surcharge is based on your home's consumption, and it will fluctuate as you seasonally as you burn more fuel. On average, customers will spend approximately about $550 more than if you lived in a non-community expansion area. But even with the system expansion surcharge, you're well ahead of any other competing product you have on the island. So it really is a true value. This is similar to a mortgage. Every one of us is probably sitting in a house that probably couldn't afford if it weren't for the mortgage. So a mortgage is a way of taking a large capital expense and amortizing over a great period of time to make it affordable. And that's what this formula is to bring natural gas to this island. And I've been doing this for a long, long time. And without a doubt, I can't say this is without a doubt the fairest way you could possibly do it. So let me explain what I mean by that. So the natural gas is sold by a cubic meter. So if you can kind of visualize a meter by a meter by a meter, and it's in a vapor state. So you're actually paying 23 cents premium on that amount of gas. So it's accurate or fair right down to a cubic meter. So you're not financing or helping your neighbors or any shape. You're paying strictly on your portion of the feasibility and not a penny more. The alternative that we have done in prior years, we haven't done this for a number of years because it had such pushback from the community, and that was what we commonly refer to as a periodic capital contribution, where we'd come into a community such as this and we'd look at the feasibility shortfall, and then we'd look at the potential customers, and then we'd actually come up with a mathematical formula of what each customer would be contributing to the overall project. And the trouble with that type of a system is after the dust settles, so we sit with Mr. Homeowner, Mr. Homeowner, and we say yours is going to be X amount. You're doing a furnace and a water heater, and then we go across the road, and this one's doing a furnace, and this one's doing a furnace and a pool heater, or whatever. But then after the dust settled, and we actually, left the project, whatever. All these anomalies are these unfair because this person that said they're doing a furnace and water heater ended up doing a furnace, a water heater, and a pool heater. So he's paying more than he should, and so on and so forth. So that's the downside of that. It was an administrative nightmare. But the biggest pushback we got from the community, and why I love this new system, is the fact that we had to take out a lien on your property. So we were taking a lien out on the customer's property, and if they ever went to sell in the future, whatever was outstanding on that debt, either the home buyer had to agree to take that over, or the home seller had to pay that off. So you can see how it wouldn't be as welcoming in the community. So the beauty of this system, if you decide in the future after you've converted to natural gas and you want to sell, you just sell like you would normally. So if the new home buyer didn't want to take over the 23 cents or the premium, they would simply close the meter and switch to another competing fuel. So it's very simple and straightforward in that aspect. So I hope I've put a little bit of insight into to this. Before I leave this slide, a lot of the slides we're going to be that are included tonight are we try to address some of the questions that came in, but we also want to address some of the chatter on social media. And one of the things that's been circulating around is there's a post there where the individual said that, oh yeah, it's 23 cents now, but you mark my word, after Enbridge gets everyone converted, it'll be 33 cents and then 43 cents. And I'm here to tell you that that's just not true. So we're in a legal obligation with our regulator, the Ontario Energy Board, and it'll never change. It's going to be 23 cents for the entire 40-year term. So just want to make that perfectly clear. Next slide. And this is another slide that's here simply because of a Facebook post that was on there. And it's basically the customer got their very first bill and they'd seen their system expense surcharge was over $100. And she was just doing the simple math. If that, she thought it was a fixed charge. And the point I want to make here is it's a volumetric charge. It's based on consumption. So she thought that if she takes that $110 and multiplies that by 12, that was greater than she ever would have spent on propane. She couldn't understand how she could possibly be saying. And the point I want to make here is that the system expense surcharge goes up in the wintertime. And then if you don't use natural gas in the summertime, and many people don't, it was if you had a water heater or a barbecue or a range, you would be using it all year long. But if you're strictly a heating customer, you would only incur that cost during the winter months. Next slide. Excuse me. Pitfalls of working from home. So anyway, this is our latest quarterly price comparison chart. So the price of natural gas changes on a quarterly basis, or four times per year. And this is the latest price comparison that we have. So this would have came out on January the 1st at the beginning of this year, and there'll be a new one coming out in a couple of weeks on April the 1st. But this is the value that natural gas represents. So just looking at this here, you're looking at and this 1526 you see there, this includes all of our charges. I'm going to be going into those in a little more detail in a future slide here, but that's our monthly charge, our system expense surcharge, any of our deliveries, whatever. The only thing that's not included in this comparison would be your HST. So here it is, you're looking at 27% cheaper than propane over the last year, 31% cheaper than the electricity, and almost 40% cheaper than oil. In fact, oil, you could almost heat 2 houses for the price of one. It's so dramatic. So it really drives home the overall value. So even with a system expense surcharge, this is still a viable opportunity for homeowners on the island. Next slide. Excuse me. In my job here at Enbridge, I work with both existing customers that have natural gas and love it, and I work with an equal amount of individuals that don't have gas and want it. And probably the most common question I get from these individuals that are inquiring is, what is the allure of natural gas? Why are people so excited to get it and what have you? And is it the price? And I have to confess or confide that probably the biggest reason why people want natural gas is the price, but there's a lot of other advantages as well. And I think this is probably the biggest reason why people want natural gas and don't even realize that they want it. And basically, the point I'm trying to make here is the stability of the pricing. And nothing demonstrates that better than this slide right here. So that last slide you just seen up there with all the colors on it, that would have been Q1 of 2021. This is actually Q4 of October 2020. You'll see at the bottom there, and the last 20 over the last 5 years. These are quarterly rate adjustments here. And if I take you at the beginning of the chart there, if you can actually go to Q1 of January 2018, if you look up, you'll see the price of electricity. That's that gray line you see there. So all of 2016 and the better part of 2017, electricity would have been your most expensive option. And then there was an election, and the price was brought down by 25%. And that's where you see it crosses over. Now, oil, the black line that you're looking at there, is now your most expensive option that you could currently have on the island. And then you see the blue, and the blue looks, this is the propane, and it doesn't look looks not too bad actually here. And at no point in this chart do you see where propane ever have the most expensive option you could possibly have. But that's simply because this is a 5-year chart. Anyone on the line here that's used propane for any length of time won't soon forget 2014. So if this is a 7-year chart, you'd witness that the price of propane shot up to well over $1 a liter, and it was the most expensive option you could possibly have, and it threw the industry into all kinds of turmoil. The propane distributors were refusing to do fill-ups. They were limiting fills to 100 liters or 200 liters, depending on the relationship they have with the customer. So, but the point I want to make there is propane is subject to these same sort of gyrations as the other three fuels. But this is a very distinct difference that natural gas has. And I want you to now bring your attention to the bottom line there, that orange line you see there. That's the price of natural gas over the last 5 years. So not only is it the lowest, it's always been the lowest. But look at the trajectory of the line. You could almost put a ruler on that. And this is why people absolutely love natural gas, or anything for that matter. If we have any product in our life, the reason we stand around at the water cooler at work, or we overhear people at a coffee shop running down the price of gasoline or any commodity for that price, is because of its fluctuations. If we have a product in our life that actually is very constant, it's really easy to manage. And just an interesting story before I leave this slide, I have a gentleman that's actually an Islander, and he lived in Durham area. I think it was Whitby for a number of years, and then he actually moved. He's been on the island for 5 years, and he's all excited. He can't wait to get switched back. And he made this analogy. He said that the trouble with these other fuels, he says, it's a lot like a car payment, natural gas. He says, you know what it is. It comes out at the same time every month. These other ones are a lot like a car repair payment. You have no idea what it's going to be, and it can be shocking. And he also said that So next slide. So now I get what I commonly refer to the good, the bad, and the ugly portion of my presentation. So we've covered the good. So natural gas, as we demonstrated, is extremely reliable, extremely stable pricing, very, very affordable. We covered the bad. Hopefully you understand the suspension surcharge better. And now we move what I commonly refer to and I say this jokingly, the ugly. Nothing generates more social media chatter than our gas bill. And I think all it is it's just new to you. It's entirely different than a propane or an oil one. And I'm going to go through it actually line by line, explain it. But what we have, so our bill is controlled by our regulator, the Ontario Energy Board. So they make us or want us to do what we commonly refer to as an individual line item or detailed billing system. And they want us to be as transparent as we possibly can. And if I could just bring your attention to the middle of the chart there, and that's the customer charge. So this charge is this is a month in, month out charge. I should point out before I actually begin here that your gas bill is the very same as everyone else's, with the exception of the system suspension surcharge. So this would be the very same identical bill to someone in Port Perry or Lindsay or Peterborough or Toronto or what have you. So we all pay this $21.83, and it's a customer charge. And what is that customer charge? So that customer charge is actually the Ontario Energy Board actually dictates. These are how we recoup all of our fixed costs as a company, so how we operate. And basically every company has fixed costs. So these are your insurance and your permits and your licensing and what have you. The things that you operate that don't really go up or down based on your success or your fixed cost. And I'm here to tell you that every company has fixed costs. It doesn't take rocket science to figure that out. So propane companies would have fixed cost. Oil companies are going to have fixed costs. Google has fixed costs. Xerox, General Motors, any company is going to have fixed costs. And so if you don't see an individual line item on your bill, it's pretty safe to say that they're rolled into the price per liter is how they're doing, or they wouldn't be sustainable. So that's what the fixed cost is. The delivery to you, this cost, this $25.50 you're seeing there, this is how we actually exist as a company. So essentially we're a trucking company with no wheels. So if you can actually visualize what this is, so this would really be from our hub or our distribution center, the delivery of the gas flowing through the pipe that actually comes up your road and into your home is what that is. And these are all volume or consumption based charges for the rest of the list here I'm going to go through. And this would be similar to your propane supplier that would be you see in the up the road. So you're out driving around your car and you see a propane truck or an oil truck, the very same thing. They would have cost to actually do that as well. Transportation to you. or transportation to Enbridge. So this is the natural gas in its fields or whatever, and it's getting over to our distribution center is what this cost is. And again, it's a volumetric charge, no different for propane or oil. It doesn't magically show up in Scugog Island. It has to be transported here somehow, and that's that cost that is incurred. Now, this is the only line item, the system expansion surcharge, that you wouldn't find or wouldn't see on any of the other competitors. So this is exclusive to Enbridge. And then below that, you see our federal carbon charge. And this would be a good time to probably point out that natural gas is the cleanest burning fossil fuel there is. Hence, we enjoy the lowest possible carbon charge of all of them. So this is a line item you would certainly see on your propane and your oil. And the ratio or the charge would be slightly greater than that of natural gas. And now I come to what I commonly refer to as the ugly part. And that's the customer or the gas supply charge. And the reason I say ugly is this is what upsets people or whatever is they look at this particular bill here, and they see that they actually consumed or used $29.81, but yet their bill is $159.21. And again, I'm a Enbridge employee, but I'm also a customer too, and I look at it and I see that and I think, wouldn't it be great if we could do that for $30 as opposed to all these other charges? And that's just not the reality of the situation. In fact, I'd like to explain that every single thing you've ever bought in your entire life is priced this way or similar to it. And to give you an example, if it's a hot day and I want to buy myself a can of Coca-Cola, an ice cold Coca-Cola, if I was to go into a variety store and make that purchase, all I'm actually consuming or benefiting from is the carbonated liquefied sugar. But I paid for the can, I paid for the delivery. We've all seen Coca-Cola trucks around. You know, they have a cost to do that. We also paid for the transportation or the raw materials that got to Coca-Cola. We paid for the advertising. We paid for all those things, but we don't actually see them. When I get to the till and I pay for my can of Coca-Cola, I don't actually see a barrage of all these different line items. And the reason we don't is simply because I could have bought a Pepsi. Competition keeps them guys honest. This is what keeps us honest. So we should actually welcome and want this type of a billing system. So I just wanted to, hopefully I've demystified a little bit of the ugly on our gas bill there. But if I can leave you with this one thing, don't get hung up in the what I call the weeds. At the end of the day, all we ever actually pay is that bottom line, that $179.90. And if that is 25, 30, or 40% cheaper you're paying now, you're definitely far better off. Next slide.
Thanks, Don. I'm Travis James, Community Expansion Advisor. Work closely along with Don here. So what I'm going to speak to tonight is the process to get connected to natural gas. So one of the things Don did very well here tonight was actually explain the system expansion surcharge. Now, one of the things I'd like to put out there and encourage even before we get too far into the process is our website here, savewithgas.com. We actually have a built-in calculator tool. It gives you a high-level resource of what your potential savings could be. So it asks general questions like, what is the size of the home? What is the age of the home? How many people live in the home? What types of equipment are you looking to convert? You even have the option if you're purchasing wood to enter those costs, and this tool will then spit out a number at you of what it projects that your annual savings would be. If the projection of what your annual savings are is close to what you're currently spending, it gives you a really good high level of what the equivalent would have also cost had natural gas been available. Aside from that, we are here as a team where if you provide us, you gather your annual consumption of whether it's propane or oil, whatever fuel you're using, you reach out to us and we can actually tell you, we can do a cost comparison and tell you what the equivalent amount would have cost had natural gas been available during that same period of time. One thing we do like to qualify is that no one can predict how warm or cold a winter will be, and therefore it's not an exact representation of what your next year's gas bill would look like, but it is a real cost comparison based on the consumption that you're currently seeing. So in order to do that, all we would need is how many, for example, liters of propane or oil that you're using, the cost that you're paying per liter. And from there, we can do the conversion pretty easily. So we do encourage you to reach out to us. And in fact, we encourage everyone to do this. As Don said, our responsibility here is to the customer, and it's very important for people to make an informed decision and be able to feel comfortable with that decision. So as Don said, there's still potential savings that range for anywhere from 20 to 60% in that range. So anyways, a bit about the process to get connected to natural gas. So as I mentioned, our website, www.savewithgas.com. This is a really good community resource. So if you go onto this tool, it has updates about where we are in the process as far as construction. There's frequently asked questions and answers. You can even submit inquiries or questions, and that will come back to our team in order to answer those directly as well. As mentioned, there's a calculator tool, and then of course a sign up button. So if you click that sign up button, what's going to happen? It's going to take you to a page to acknowledge the system expansion surcharge. So all it requires is name, address, email, phone number, and you click a button, I agree. What you're agreeing to is that you know about the system expansion surcharge premium, what it is, and why it's there. Second of all, there is a condition that we do ask that you convert to natural gas within 12 months. So I think there's been some questions, come in around, do I need to convert today, or what happens if I have propane to use up, etc. So the answer to that is we do encourage you to, get your application in sooner than later. One of the reasons for that is the heating season obviously is our busiest time of the year, as well as our contractor. So if you are looking to convert at some point in the heating season, it's better to get that in ahead of time. Second of all, you will not receive a bill from Enbridge until the meter is actually spinning. So that's why we give the full 12 months. So if your propane tanks have just been filled and you want to use up what you already have, that's fine. We will install the service that you can use up your propane and then convert when it's convenient with your contractor. That way it gives everybody some grace time to figure out what they need to be done, get their quotes, etc. But again, we do encourage that you apply ahead of time, just so that there's no disappointment on timing in coordination with your HVAC. The second question there is regards to, do I have to apply now? The answer to that is no, you do not. Will the policies change down the road? They could, but most often they will be very close to what you're seeing here today. So I'll talk to that a little bit more in a future slide with regards to what we offer at no cost and our 20-meter rule, etc. The second part of your gas up. So part one, go online, complete your terms and conditions, and then that's it. Your portion of the application is completed. If you don't feel comfortable using the internet, please give any one of us a call, Don, myself, and the rest of our team, and we will arrange for someone to come by with a hard copy. You can drop it off, you can sign it, and we will then pick it back up. That's it, your portion of the application completed. Step number two, talk to a local heating contractor. So we do encourage that if you have an existing relationship, please reach out to those contractors. We do not favor one over the other, and talk to your neighbor, talk to your friends. And again, as always, we encourage you to get 2 or 3 quotes type of thing to make your best informed decision. As Don said earlier tonight, we cannot talk to what is it going to cost to convert my natural gas equipment. It is a question we get asked all the time. And the only thing we can say to that is most times it's hundreds of dollars, not thousands. So that's about the best ballpark answer we can give to that statement. So again, there's a couple important things that the contractor is going to complete on your gas application. One is the meter location. Many times it makes sense to put your meter, as you'll see in the photo there, close to where the propane tanks are, and simply that's just because of where your access to your existing lines are, for example, if you're on propane. However, it is up to you and your contractor to submit to choose that location, and as long as it meets the gas code and there's no other obstacles, we will install the line to the chosen location. Second of all, another important piece of that gas application is the loads of the equipment. So we want to ensure that any current and future loads are accounted for. Our pipe sizing accommodates, I'm going to say, probably around 95% of our customers, but there are circumstances where if you have a really long service and extremely high loads, pool heaters, generators, along with all the other appliances, there are times we may need to upsize that service. That will be determined based on the gas application. So again, there's a spot for current and future loads. So the two parts of that is the meter location and the BTUs of your equipment you're looking to convert. Once both of these are done, and I should point out that once either of these are completed, someone from our team will reach out to you to say, thank you, we've received your terms and conditions. Do you have any questions? And a reminder to complete your gas application and vice versa. Once both of these have been completed, you'll then be moving to the next stage where you now have a completed application. Someone from our team will call you when you're about 6 to 8 weeks ahead of your install to give you a heads up and say, just by the way, your installation is pending for such and such a date, and you may start to see flags and locate marks and stuff like this on your property. So you won't be alarmed if you see people moving around. So again, you will have a heads up and a touch point from our team to give you your next steps. After that has been completed, you will then notify your contractor and arrange for the conversion of your equipment. Once that's done, we do recommend that you call about 48 hours in advance in order to arrange for your meter unlock. We have a contractor that comes out and they will do a final inspection of the equipment, and then they will unlock your meter. At that point, you're ready to start to use natural gas, and that's the point that you will start to receive a bill. I did want to point out too, I think there's been some questions about the system expansion surcharge and whether you will receive those kind of bills in the summer months. And again, it is based on consumption. So similar to your gas bill, if you're not using any gas, you will not actually pay the system expansion surcharge. So if you were to turn around and walk away from your home for 2 months, you wouldn't pay the 23-cent premium, aside from if you had water heating or anything like that. The only fixed cost is the monthly meter cost, which Don talked about as he went through the bill there. So again, that's where it's very important that we just encourage everybody to reach out. We'll do a cost comparison. There's no hidden fees. When we give a comparison, everything is included, and that way you can walk away with an informed decision. And thank you. Next slide, please.
We've got exciting news. Natural gas is coming to your community. It's exciting because switching to natural gas can mean big savings when heating your home or water. It's also more affordable and convenient for clothes dryers, stoves, barbecues, and much, much more. So, how do you switch to natural gas? It's easy. First, find a heating, ventilation, and air conditioning contractor near you at savewithgas.com. Your contractor will explain the steps and costs to convert to natural gas and then submit the application on your behalf. In addition, you must sign up for your Enbridge Gas account at savewithgas.com. Step 1 is to select your community from the drop-down menu. Then simply follow the steps, entering the required information, and press the Sign Up button. Once you've completed the sign-up page, it's time to let your HVAC contractor know that you're officially ready to make the switch to natural gas. Enbridge Gas will get in touch with you to set up an appointment when we're ready to start connecting homes on your street to the new natural gas service. Our professionals will locate and mark any underground utilities and work with you to decide where your new gas meter should be installed. Then, Enbridge Gas or one of our partners will install your gas line and activate your meter. Afterwards, we'll resod or reseed any section that we had to dig to install the service to help restore the area. At this point, your HVAC contractor can install your new furnace, hot water heater, barbecue, or natural gas fireplace. Once installed, we'll come back to inspect the appliances for safety. At this time, you can disconnect your old heating source. You've now completed the switch to natural gas. How long will the process take? It depends on several factors such as the weather, construction conditions, and how many people in your area are signing up. Rest assured that we want to get natural gas to you as quickly as we can. So, we'll keep you informed every step of the way. Get started today at savewithgas.com and start saving.
Okay, so this is with regards to what does it cost to have the gas service brought into my home. So this is known as the 20+2 meter rule. It is kind of confusing, I will admit that. So I won't go through every slide here in scenario, but I will go over it. So essentially what we do is we offer 20 meters at no cost. And this is from the property line to the front of the home. And then we offer an additional 2 meters back, and that's the typical placement for a gas meter. So, one example here could be where you have 15 meter gas service, but your gas meter is actually set 5 meters back on the home. This would result in a 3 meter excess footage charge. So the excess footage is charged at $32 per meter. One of the other questions we do see is, well, when does my 12 months start, and is it from the date that I apply for natural gas? And that is no. The answer to that is once your gas is installed and the meter's hung, from that point in time, you have 12 months to convert your service. So it does allow, quite a substantial amount of time for you to make those arrangements with your contractor and use up any existing fuels. Yeah, and if you have any questions around this 20+2 meter rule, please, again, don't hesitate to reach out and give any one of us a call. One of the jobs that the contractor will be doing when they submit the application is they will be filling out the distance that is required to run the service to your home. So hopefully there are no surprises in that regard as well, and that they will notify you of any excess footage charges that you may see up front. Next slide, please. So this here is a little screenshot of our Save with Gas website for those of you that have not seen it. So as you can tell, there's a number of headings there: why gas, comments, FAQ, about, safety, these types of things. Again, just a good high-level community resource. And again, our calculator tool. So if you're on electricity or you're using wood, this would be the tool we would use to do those calculations. Next slide. So this is our Port Perry storefront. Some of you may or may not know that we had a storefront. It was not open very long, unfortunately. We are all sad to see this go. However, at this point in time, due to COVID, the safety of the staff and our customers, we decided to pull the plug here, and we have now closed down the storefront. However, we just want to reinforce that the same level of service is available. I know that Dawn and myself and the rest of our team, we are all more than happy to have one-on-one conversations, and we will even do field visits at request as well. We will maintain social distance, and we can come by and talk in that regard as well. So it is unfortunate, but just wanted everyone to understand that the store is officially now closed. Next slide.
So I'll speak about this slide a little bit. And really what we want to drive home here is just some key top line safety messages, especially now that we have customers attached to this new natural gas infrastructure, and just to sort of reinforce some of those high level safety messages. So number one, inspect your fuel burning equipment annually. We want to make sure that you maintain your natural gas appliances and heating systems to keep them running safely by having them inspected annually by a licensed HVAC contractor. In addition to following the maintenance recommendations, you want to make sure that your filter is replaced regularly and you follow the manufacturer guidelines. Number 2, you want to ensure that you install a carbon monoxide alarm in sleeping areas in your home. Now, this won't be new to many users of propane or heating oil, but it may be new to those who are currently on electrical. It is a legal obligation to have carbon monoxide detectors installed on any floor in which you have a designated sleeping area. And we also advise that you test your alarms monthly and replace your batteries yearly. Number 3, we did talk about this in the safety moment, but call before you dig. And I really wanted to reinforce this. It is law in Ontario and helps to ensure the integrity of our system. Number 4, smell gas, act fast. So as some of you may know, natural gas does have a distinctive rotten egg smell. Typically, natural gas is odorless, but we do add a substance called mercaptan to provide a distinctive odor so that we have a frontline safety precaution and customers are able to detect if there is a leak in the system. So if you do suspect there's a natural gas leak, go outside immediately, leave the area, call 911 or contact our emergency number located on our website. And finally, number 5, keep your natural gas meter clear. We do advise that you typically check this from time to time, just make sure the gas piping is free and clear of any debris and the vents are open and free of any obstruction. And with that, I'll pass it back to Don.
Yep. Thanks, Amanda. So just to conclude here, just a quick little review. So natural gas, as you mentioned earlier, extremely clean fuel, one of the cleanest burning fossil fuels you can have. Extremely reliable. We didn't talk a lot about this, but extremely reliable because our infrastructure is underground. We're not subjected to storms and weathers like some of the others. Often they can be labor disputes and protests and those sort of things. We haven't had one of those instances yet. So extremely reliable, extremely abundant. I know we always talk about the affordability, but there's lots of other advantages to natural gas. So you never have to worry about it running out. Never have to worry about ongoing refills and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's just a quick review. If you can move to the next slide.
So thanks, everyone. That concludes the more formal presentation tonight. So we can now shift into the question and answer portion of the event. As a reminder, I'd like to draw your attention to the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And if you have a question to ask of the team, please type in your question there. And as your moderator, I will be pulling questions from there and reading them out to the group. Our focus today is to answer natural gas project-specific questions. And based on the nature of your question, one or more than one of our team members will respond. If we're unable to provide an answer or you would like additional information, please take a note of our contact information and get in touch. You can always get in touch with us at savewithgas.com. After the session, a recording of the meeting will be available on our website, savewithgas.com, and you can access the information anytime. You can always reach us anytime by sending an email to savewithgas@enbridge.com. If you have any questions that come to mind after the session, or if you'd like further follow-up. So let's get started on our Q&A session. The first one is coming to you, Don, and it's the first question is for you, Don. Sorry, what's involved in converting to natural gas, and can I use a heat pump for air conditioning? And how does natural gas compare to a heat pump? Over to you, Don.
Okay. Thanks, Liz. Yeah, no, a heat pump and a natural gas system can certainly coexist together. In fact, actually, that would probably be the best of both worlds. So you can certainly use your heat pump for all of your air conditioning needs during your summer months. And the beauty of an air source heat pump is they work very well in the shoulder months. So your October, November, when you're about 10 degrees to minus 10 degrees, they work extremely well. Where they seem to fail or where they seem to not be nearly as efficient, and we get down below minus 10, and this is where your natural gas would really shine. And it's a great complement to your system. Another side benefit to that is the trouble with air source heat pumps is I'm aware of their benefits and a lot of people are, but when it comes to home buyers, they aren't. So if you actually have natural gas in your property, it makes your home value go up too as well. So if it's an all electric home, that seems to be a deterrent still. So this is another benefit of converting to natural gas. So I assure you, by you looking at natural gas with a heat pump, you'd certainly get all that money back when you go to sell. So great plan.
That's great. Thanks, Don. Travis, I have a question for you. Are any rebates being offered?
Yeah, this is a good question, and one we get asked quite frequently. So the short answer is yes, there are rebates. However, I quite frequently don't talk about them to new customers. And the reason for that is there's a certain criteria, and one of them being, again, we have to, all of our incentives are through our regulator, and one of the criteria is that we have to be converting existing natural gas equipment to higher efficiency natural gas equipment. So, say that we are converting quite an old oil furnace, for example, to natural gas. Yes, we are saving on emissions. However, they don't qualify. I'll just go through the program real briefly as a high level. Part of this program, you would identify an energy auditor, which can be found through our website. They will do a blower door test. After this blower door test, they're going to give you a list of, it could be 5 to 10, maybe 15 different items, depending on the age of the home. Could be the highest two incentives that are always identified in these programs are your furnace and water heater. So again, those two items would be off the table because you're converting either you're buying a new water heater already, or you're converting your furnace. So neither of those would qualify. The air sealing and the insulation and some of those do have minimal incentives. However, in order to qualify for those, when you do your final blower door test, so there's a blower door test at the beginning. They identify all the areas of your home that could be improved, and then and that costs about $275. And then there's another blower door test, and it's around that $275, $300 as well. If you have reduced your air exchange by a certain amount, or reduced emissions by replacing natural gas equipment with higher efficiency natural gas equipment, then you would qualify for those incentives. You would get the incentive dollars, and you would also get the energy auditor money back as well. And all of this about our incentives can be found on our website. And if you have more questions, please feel free to reach out. But if you're looking to have an incentive in order to help with conversion costs, it's not an option with our current programs. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Travis. Amanda, I have a question for you. What's the cutoff date this year to have the pipe installed to my house on Edgewood Crescent?
Okay, so I think that question is perhaps related to a cutoff date for installation of the service from the main to the house. And in regards to that, there is no cutoff date. So Edgewood Crescent currently has gas installed on the road, what we call the main. So that gas is currently available in front of your house and live. There is no cutoff date in terms of requesting to attach to gas and obtain that service, but we do encourage early application to make sure that all the steps necessary as to the HVAC process and all that Travis talked about, that we encourage you to attach or submit your application early, just to make sure that you can get attached to gas when required. So I hope that answers that question.
Amanda, I can add a little bit too. So if
Sure.
you have already applied on Edgewood, you are likely looking at an end of May, early June right now installation. That's just based on what's come in so far and where we're constructing main lines. So yeah, if you currently have an application in for Edgewood, you're looking at that time. If you haven't applied yet, it'll probably be a little bit closer to mid to late summer.
That's a really good point, Derek. Our team that's currently constructing the main lines is also constructing services as well. So we do have to balance both of those schedules.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Jeff, coming to you next, a construction question. For installation, what method will be used if there's an existing armor stone wall across the property?
Hi, great question. Likely in that case, we would be using a directional drill to drill underneath the wall so that we don't disturb any of the structure of the wall. But to determine if that's going to be our plan, we typically would spot in front of the wall to ensure that we understand what the depth of that wall is. If it's a load-bearing supporting wall that is fairly deep, we would likely want to contact you with a site meeting. In that case, if we have to do anything specific, we don't core through walls. We do generally try to get under them and back up. In most cases, in a home resident situation, that's not a difficult task for us to do. But if it is an elaborate wall, we will talk to you about some engineering requirements that we'd have to try to meet on our side. So if you have any more specific questions on that, reach out to us directly, and we don't have a problem meeting with you at your home. So
That's great. Thanks, Jeff. Amanda, a question for you. Will there be a feasibility study to address those streets on the island that are not on the current project map so that others can receive the benefits of natural gas?
That's a really great question. So I would like to start off by saying that the project scope is limited to what has been indicated in the map within the presentation. So that project scope was used as the basis for our original feasibility assessment and business case for this project. But as a company, we're always looking to extend our system and attach additional customers. So what we've been doing specifically for the Scugog Island project is we've been capturing interest on out of scope roads and passing that off to our regional expansion team or regional team, and separate feasibility assessments for those specific projects will be conducted as part of our regional group. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. Jeff, I have another question for you. During installation, who's liable for repairs if a current service, such as water or septic line, is struck and damaged as many buried utilities are not locatable?
another great question. In the case that it's a public utility, we do call locates in ourselves as well. One of the things that we do to try to prevent something like that happening is our contractor requests you to fill out a form that indicates any utilities that you have on the property that are public or I mean private. So if you have a street light on your driveway or you've got some sprinkler systems or something like that, we ask you to disclose as much of that information as you can. We do have a lot remote technology to try to determine and detect those things. If you've disclosed that to us and we damaged it, we would be liable for that. We'd be liable for water or anything that's a public utility because we obligated to spot all those things. If it was something that we didn't know about, those ones are tricky. So we do try to do as much homework as we possibly can before we disturb any soil at all. So thank you.
Travis, I have a question for you. What if you wait a couple of years before deciding you want gas? Is there a higher cost because you didn't have it installed when they were putting it in your area?
Thanks. That's another great question. Yeah, my answer to this is always, $1 today is worth more than a dollar tomorrow type of thing. So no, the short answer to this is that no, there is not a higher cost to convert down the road. The only caution I give is that policies are subject to change. So for example, our 20-meter rule at $32 a meter, will that be 100% the same? I can't say that with 100% accuracy. However, it will most likely be very, very similar. So no, you don't have to convert today. Sometimes there's reasons to wait, and if there's other questions, you can always reach out to us. But yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Travis. So I'm just being mindful of time. We are approaching the top of the hour, which gives us about, we'll stick around for 10 more minutes. You guys have some great questions. If you do have additional questions after, you can always reach out to savewithgas.com. So we'll keep the project team here for about, till about 8:10, 8:15. So you can keep the questions coming and we'll continue to answer them. We just want to be respectful of your time. So Amanda, I have a question for you. I'm switching from oil. An oil tank is already over 20 years old. So from an insurance perspective, I have to change it already. Can I count on your schedule? I'm in north part of Frolics Beach Road. Is October, November schedule for Maine, for the main line in the street or hook up to the house?
Okay, a great question as well. So this is one we actually do get quite often. It is difficult for us to provide an exact construction schedule because, of course, things do come up, and maybe Jeff could speak to that as well. And we also are still actively pursuing several permits within the scope of our work. So it is not an exact schedule, but it is a pretty good approximation as we work towards completing this project. The schedule is specific to the main lines. So there's a bit of time in terms of getting that pipeline constructed and then energized and then attaching customers. And perhaps Jeff could speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to highlight is, so first indications will be obviously construction in front of your house when the main line's going in. But if there's a particular concern for the heating season that you will be hooked up in time, one thing I would say is to ensure that you've applied now, that all your application and service information is in the system, but also share with Travis's team, whether you call Travis, Kathy, or Don, that particular situation, that there's a particular concern that you have heat within a certain period of time. We will do our best to accommodate that. We do try to have everyone in a fair system in order, but there are circumstances where if we have to put things out of order to try to meet a particular need like that, we will do that. So yeah, if you have any other specific questions, by all means, our team works quite closely together. So share those concerns with our customer attachment team, and they will share those with our construction team pretty quickly. So
thanks, Jeff. So we have had a few of the same questions come in, and I just want to give Travis the opportunity to make sure we've answered everything. Customers are asking, what if we don't hook up within the requested 12 months?
Yeah, so you could face a penalty of $2,500 if you don't convert within the 12 months. Again, there's safety concerns with just installing pipe that's not activated, and then of course there's a capital cost to install these lines. So we don't want to just install dead services around the island type of thing. So if there are concerns, please reach out to us. But we do give that grace time. I can assure you, you will not start to receive a bill until your meter's spinning and you've conveniently arranged with your contractor. And I see another question about if you switch back to propane, is there a cancellation fee? And the answer to that is no. So similar to what Dawn expressed earlier in the presentation about, there's no lien on the home. So that's a business risk that Enbridge has taken. So for example, if somebody connects to natural gas and a new home buyer moves in, or someone decides they no longer want their natural gas service, that is your option, and you certainly can do so without penalty. And I think there was one other question there. Oh, sorry. Do you have something?
I was just going to add to that about the 2,500 penalty. So rarely is it ever collected upon either, Travis, because of the simple fact that someone could actually go to Canadian Tire and buy themselves a natural gas barbecue, and once the meter's spinning, that takes away that threat or whatever, right? So it doesn't have to be a furnace. Once the meter's unlocked, it's now spinning. It doesn't have to be a furnace or a pool heater or some of these large loads. So just to keep that in mind, if you're actually wearing getting in the 11th month and you're concerned about it, that would certainly make that threat go away too as well. So
that's great. Thank you. Jeff, I have a two-part question here. So how deep is the gas line from the main line to the house, and how far down does the line go below the frost line?
Great question. So I'm not sure I quite understand the first question, but I'll try to explain as much as I can. So the main line at the road, so what you would see by the street line, that's typically about 0.9 of a meter deep. In cases that the ground conditions are not as favorable, we'll be at 0.6, but typically we are under that frost line. That main line coming from the road, that would be our minimum standards. In a lot of cases, we are deeper through the roads when we cross under other utilities or anything else that we might run into. We're typically under those features. But when the main line breaks off towards your house into a service, those services are not quite as deep as the main, but typically under that frost line. And close to your house, you'll also find a frost loop. So it takes some of that flexibility away from any frost concerns or pressure that gets put on the line.
Hey, Jeff, I was just going to add, our minimum is 2 feet on private property, but we can go deeper if any specific need. So if that's the case, I did in that question give my email address. So hopefully everyone can see that. If you have an issue where you do need to go deeper than 2 feet, please reach out to me. We can come and have a site meeting and make that happen. Thanks.
Thanks, Derek.
Thanks.
Travis, a question for you. If I sign up after a couple of months and I want to switch back to propane, is there a cancellation fee?
Yeah, thanks, Liz. Yeah, so again, no, there's no cancellation fee. If you choose to disconnect from natural gas, that is entirely up to you. We would, of course, probably reach out and just ask why, but no, absolutely, that you have every option to switch back if that's what you choose. And I'll just quickly answer. I've seen a few questions with regards to the monthly fixed cost. So that is $21.83. Works out to I think it was $261.96 a year. So that is the cost of to have the meter on the home, whether you use any natural gas or not. So that is irrelevant from the fixed cost of the system expansion surcharge. Everybody in Ontario pays that. The only people, and this is why we always encourage the cost comparison. So for example, a seasonal cottager, they might only use around $350 a year in propane. They are one of the few folks that, because of the fixed cost of natural gas, may not benefit. And again, Don or I and any one of us, we will be the first to tell you if that is the case. However, quite often there's other reasons to convert aside from only the financial benefit. But around $350, $400 is about the break-even point for annual consumption. Anything over that, you're starting to save. Thank you.
Thanks, Travis. One came in here to say, what will the fee be to get the pipe to my house if it's more than 30 meters from the street? That Travis or Don question there? Don, can you take that one? Travis?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry, I was texting Travis there.
So what will the fee be to get the pipe to my house if it's more than 30 meters from the street?
Okay, so first off, it's from the property line. So the gas main can be on your side of the street or across the road. That's not your problem, that's our problem. So we measure from your property line to the front of the house. So anything beyond the 20 meters is $32 per meter. So in this case, it'd be 10 extra meters at $32 a meter, $320, if that answers the question.
Okay, and then I have a couple more. Are we able to have the line come up our yard without having it attached to the house and have it installed when our contract has expired with our propane in a year?
I think I went on mute. Okay, yeah, so you certainly can. Again, we do give the full 12 months. So, depending on when your contract has expired, and in fact, it's probably a good idea to get your application in, and that way, when you are out of fuel and you're starting to run low at that point in time, you've already got your contract or your natural gas service has already been installed, and then you can actually convert when it's most convenient for you. So, I would say yes. It would make sense. Typically what we see is about a 12-month contract. So even if you just signed today, you're likely fine to still proceed. Again, what will happen at the 12-month mark is someone will reach out to you to say, you're now approaching your 12-month date since you had your gas line installed, and is there anything that's holding you up? So yeah, any of those types of questions, please give us a shout, and we're happy to answer them.
That's great. Thanks, everyone. So thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight in this virtual environment. As a reminder, the material you saw tonight will be available on our website, savewithgas.com, and you can access it anytime. You can always reach us anytime by sending an email to the team at savewithgas@enbridge.com. And in an effort to continuously improve our experience going forward, we'd like to hear from you. Did you get what you were looking for out of today's session? And would you like to share any feedback with us on how this went? We would love to hear from you and would appreciate any feedback you could share. On the screen right now, there's we're going to do a poll of the of our audience to see how you heard about the virtual open house. Was it through social media? Was it through a flyer? Or perhaps it was through a neighbor or a friend? Can we ask you just to stick in your answer there so we can gauge going forward the best way to reach everybody about these virtual open houses? So if I can ask you to go ahead and make your selection. So thank you, everyone, for all of the responses. As a reminder, the presentation you saw tonight will be available at savewithgas@enbridge.com. And with that, we'll sign off. And until we speak again, thank you for your time this evening and stay safe. Bye-bye.